Brad Pitt has emerged victorious in the latest phase of the legal battle between Hollywood heavyweights Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. The court has ruled in favor of Brad Pitt. A high-profile case centered around the ownership of the French winemaking estate Château Miraval. It was purchased by Pitt and Jolie in 2008.
Did you know that behind Hollywood's glamour are real stories and tensions, just like any of us? Yep, even the most glamorous and loved couples go through discords. Today, we're diving into the latest Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt saga chapter. Hold on to your seats because this one's a doozy. Their love story was once the talk of the town, but now the ex-lovers find themselves in an intensified battle over their shared asset, the prestigious Château Miraval. The story is far from what you'd call peachy. The court's new ruling is in, and boy, it's stirring up some serious waves. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are finding themselves in quite a pickle over their French vineyard, Château Miraval. This disagreement seems to be heating up pretty fast. Angelina Jolie's been trying her best to sell her part of the vineyard to a company called Château del Mondo. This company's like a smaller piece of a bigger company called the Stoli Group. As you might guess, the Stoli Group has responded by starting a legal battle with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has taken them to court earlier, accusing them of buying Jolie's part of the vineyard in a not-so-nice way. In the most recent update, the Château del Mondo folks have made some pretty serious accusations against Brad Pitt. They say he's a criminal thief and that he used the vineyard's money for things he wanted personally, which they claim has reduced their profit. According to Extra, a person who's pretty tight with Pitt has described the lawsuit as outlandish. They've slammed Stoli, saying they're hypocritical and have stood firm that Pitt is the main driving force behind the winery's rise. They also let slip that Stoli had tried to make a similar claim in France, but it sadly fell flat. Angelina Jolie, together with Brad Pitt, are heading back to the courtroom again, and this time it's all about a thing called non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. Jolie wants a jury to decide this one to make things a little more exciting. Tony Webb is a man who knows his stuff when it comes to security. Right now, he's focused solely on working for Pitt. He's helped by filing some papers to back up Pitt's request that Jolie spill the beans on any extra NDAs she might have with others. Webb was on Jolie's payroll until 2020, and he says her assistant, Michael Vieira, once asked him for help convincing 2 bodyguards to avoid testifying against her. In his own words, Webb says, "During our chat, Mr. Vieira mentioned that he'd heard 2 guys who used to look after Miss Jolie's safety through a company called SRS Global might be giving evidence in the family court case." He continues, "Vieira then asked me to stop these 2 from speaking up. I got the impression that he was asking this favor for Miss Jolie. I had to tell Vieira that I didn't have that kind of pull with them because they were independent contractors, not employees." Wrapping it up, Webb says, Vieira made it clear that his call was basically a heads up that Miss Jolie had NDAs with these folks, and I should give him a friendly reminder of that. He ended with a stern warning that if they dared to testify in the family law case, they would have a lawsuit from Miss Jolie to contend with. Jolie's legal team has previously argued in court that sharing other non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, she has signed would violate the privacy of the other parties involved. You can assume these papers would likely contain NDAs with her Hollywood employers, big-name brands she's worked with, and her staff. These documents might have details about the money Jolie made or even how much she paid others and her team, pointed out in the court's paperwork. The judge's new decision also mentioned that Jolie's team should share a list of any documents she believes should be kept confidential in this lawsuit. This way, Pitt's attorneys can review the list and decide whether Jolie's claims of confidentiality hold water. Back in April 2024, Pitt's lawyers had submitted some papers asking Jolie just how many NDAs she has had her employees sign. This happened after Jolie accused him of trying to manipulate her using what she perceived to be an excessively controlling agreement, as we had mentioned earlier. The document presented to the court detailed a past connection between the 2 that she believed Pitt was making efforts to conceal. This was part of his attempt to justify why Pitt was so determined to get her to comply with his broad NDA. One of the key allegations involved Pitt being physically harsh towards Jolie even before the notorious airplane incident in 2016, which led Jolie to seek a divorce. The document further stated that Pitt's past record of physically mistreating Jolie started well before the family jetted from France to Los Angeles in September 2016. This particular flight was the first instance where his physical aggression was directed at the children, too. Following this, Jolie didn't hesitate and instantly decided to part ways with him. Ever since Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were officially declared a couple in 2019, they've been splitting custody of their 6 children. Maddox, Pax, Zahara, Shiloh, and the twins Vivian and Knox were all between 8 and 15 years old when the supposed plane incident took place. Representatives for both Jolie and Pitt did not comment when asked, but an informed insider spilled the beans. They said, "It's like a never-ending cycle. Whenever a decision isn't in favor of one side, they always find a way to bring up misleading, untrue, or irrelevant details to sway the focus." Back in 2017, Pitt had a chat with GQ, where he confessed to having an issue with alcohol. He expressed it in words like, "I was drinking way more than I should have." However, he reassured everyone that he had now quit drinking. He shared that he was taking therapy sessions after his initial 2 therapists didn't click with him. He also spoke about how the problems in his marriage with Jolie were being publicized and misinterpreted by the media without any sensitivity or understanding. Pitt never denied that his conduct on the 2016 flight wasn't okay. In a court document filed in June 2023, his lawyer stated that even though Jolie had decided not to go through with the winery sale due to the restrictive language asked for in a mutual confidentiality agreement, she surprisingly offered to include an even more comprehensive confidentiality clause in their divorce proceedings a year later. This clause would have entailed that, except for court-related documents or conversations, neither of them or their representatives could publicly make any derogatory remarks about the other person.
Michael Vieira, Jolie's personal assistant, usually acted as a contract agent. Webb is said to have found out about the divorce of the 2 megastars in 2016. Webb said, "After their divorce, SRS Global and I continued to provide security for Ms. Jolie, Mr. Pitt, and their children. However, tensions soon arose between the company and the family." Vieira is said to have become aware that 2 contractors who provided personal security for Jolie through Webb's company might testify in the family court proceedings, and Vieira reportedly asked Webb to prevent them from doing so.
Last summer in 2023, Pitt's lawyers accused Jolie of sneakily selling her shares in their winery without his knowledge. They claimed she did this out of spite, intending to cause him harm. They then disclosed more information about how their relationship was falling apart. Even during that time, and still now in the recent court documents, Jolie's side is firm that Pitt wouldn't finalize the transaction involving Miraval, their winery, unless Jolie promised not to talk about the abuse she alleges he inflicted. Currently, Jolie's legal team is alleging that Pitt tried to hide his alleged abuse by opposing their children expressing their preferences in determining custody. The court documents include a text from Jolie to a friend in May 2021, in which she tells her about trying to sell the winery back to Pitt as per their agreement. However, she says Pitt was being very unreasonable and setting harsh conditions. These documents also reveal, for the first time, the exact words of the more burdensome NDA. It was stated that the NDA asked Jolie to agree that she would not disclose any details about their relationship, including any physical abuse allegations, either in court or to the media. It also required her to acknowledge that Pitt had never physically harmed her or their children. The document showed that this clause was a major issue for Jolie and was one of the reasons why she did not go ahead with selling her shares in the winery. The ongoing legal battle between Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt continues to illuminate the dynamics of their past relationship. As more information is revealed, it becomes clear that both parties are trying to protect their interests and image through legal means. NDAs and confidentiality agreements are common in the entertainment industry, especially for high-profile celebrities like Jolie and Pitt. However, it raises questions about transparency and accountability when it comes to matters of abuse and personal relationships. So, what do you think about the ongoing legal battle between Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt? Share your predictions and thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and want more hot gossip, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for all the hot takes.